The world wouldn't be as interesting without technical difficulties.
Listen, man, what's going on with y'all? Welcome, right? Welcome back. I'm going to say welcome back. Seeing I was just here, man, had some difficulties. I got my man on though. We're gonna. I want to jump right into it, and y'all know me, no fluff, right? Get right to the point. But my guy, got my guy in here, man. We started talking maybe about a week ago, and in the conversation, we had, I was like, yo, let me have him on. I like the story, and I was listening to the content from a sales standpoint, and it was intriguing. You know what I'm saying? I was listening, like, okay, I like it. I like what he's talking about, and then the story was just like, oh, it's real, right? It's a real story, and this is for me what makes sales so phenomenal. The way that if you never done it before, doesn't matter, right? I think that's a plus if you never done it and you start to do something new. I really love it, but you got to sell yourself on so many different levels, right? So many different levels when it comes to sales. Do you have to sell yourself self on? And I always hear people get caught up into, man, I don't know what to say. Yo, before you know what to say, you need to know how to think, right? It's way different. I can tell you what to say, but are you bold enough? Are you courageous enough to actually say it, right? That's the real thing. Anybody can load your lips, but what is your delivery like? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to say, man, hey man, I like you, man. You're a cool person. Yo, I really, really like you. Like, yo, your content for not, see what I'm saying? Way different. Say the same thing, but when you say it in the bold man, it means something different. So listen, man, introduce yourself. Let them know who you are, what you do, and we're gonna jump into it.
Sounds good. Well, hey guys, my name is Samuel Diamond. That is my last name, not my stage name, pen name, or anything else. Last name actually is Diamond, God birth, God given. And anyway, I am a Southern boy that doesn't know what the hell he's doing and doesn't know what the hell he's doing in DC. I'm originally from Louisiana. I used to bartend on Bourbon Street. I've been on some sort of a customer facing job for over a decade. First job out of college was cold calling for State Farm, selling car insurance. That's just for the record. That's where salesmen's dreams go to die, for sure. Cold calling for car insurance. But no, I made it from there. I ended up having some circumstances in my life, wrong place, wrong time. Innocent kid, didn't know what I was doing. Ended up broke, homeless, living out of my car in November of 20. And out of all the cars, I ended up in a Prius, which sucks. For the record, you figured it'd at least be a Corolla. So, but at least that. Now I am, that was 2.5 years ago. And my income since I had fixed pretty much my mindset, which was the right thing, has gone at least 4x, 5x, somewhere around there since prior I had ever made before. And that's, I don't like tooting my own horn. I think saying how much you're making can be a little tacky, but I mean, at the same time, you're dealing with salespeople. That's the motivation, right?
Yeah.
And outside of that, man, it's just I'm a dad of two. That's my entire life. I live and breathe for two kids under 3.5 feet tall. Work in insurance and I do sales training and sales consulting. So that's it.
Yeah, I love it. Right when you said the Prius, like you was living in the Prius,
Mm.
it brought me back to, again, right? We're talking about, because in sales sometimes you gotta humiliate yourself, right? Or you got to do things that's against the grain.
Hmm.
And if you try to avoid the stuff that you've been through, it makes going against the grain difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because you feel as though, like, this is embarrassing. This shouldn't be, right? Well, when you said sleeping in the Prius, I'm looking like, yo, my first home I ever bought myself, it was either a 98 or a 90 a 80 a 88 or 89 Subaru Legacy, and it was white. I bought it for $400, no transmission.
Hmm.
And this is what I slept in. I tinted the windows all the way around, limo tent, and I would get in this car and I would roll it to the gas station about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, in between shifts, right? When I knew the cops was parked somewhere waiting to get off, or they was all at the station house waiting to come on, stop the shift. And I would sleep in the car. And this is wintertime. So the heat worked, it started, but the transmission was bad. So you couldn't gas it. No, you got to let it just roll. I would
Yeah.
roll to the gas station, roll it back to my projects, and I would sleep wherever I could. You know what I'm saying? Inside this car. So when you said the Prius, it made me think, and instantly I'm like, yo, and I'm in front of a customer, I don't care. I'm going to say what comes to mind, right? I'm be strategic with it, but I'm not afraid to say something because I've been at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
someone might say, well, that's not the bottom. Like you at least had a car. Okay, cool. It's not your bottom, but it's mine, right? So to recognize your bottom when you start to climb, it helps you to swallow the pride. And a lot of y'all are holding on to too much pride, and that's why you won't get into sales. You know what I'm saying? So listen, man, talk to me, man. When you said you was cold calling for auto insurance, and that's where you either die or you survive, right? And I can get that. You're going call after call, making 100 calls, maybe get one. You know what I'm saying? And you get better and better. What was the mindset? What was the mindset going into the just getting started part? The rejection after rejection after rejection. What kept you pushing the button?
So I'm gonna answer the question. I'm gonna comment on what you just said real quick. First of all, smiling when you hit the bottom, because the reason I smile is because anytime somebody's going through something hard, I say, good, man. Like, bro, that's good. It's like, it's because at the end of the day, you don't grow from feeling good, but at the same time, it's one of my favorite quotes is, the worst thing you've ever experienced is the worst thing you've ever experienced. So everybody's got a new bottom. That's a tool for gratitude and humility right there. And I don't care how low your low's been, So
hold on, because see, I knew that was going to happen too, because you said, say that one more time. You said everyone has a new bottom.
It's the worst thing you've ever been through is the worst thing you've ever been through. It's not that it couldn't be any lower. It's just, that's just the worst you've ever been through. Like it could get a hell of a lot worse. It could, hurt a lot, a lot worse. But here's the thing is that the difference, what's required and your best is not the same thing, and that's your best is subjective. What's required is sorry, I don't want to curse on your thing. Is a
Oh, you good, bro? So
okay,
you say whatever the hell you want.
All right, cool. I didn't know how we were going doing this. So your best is emotional. Your best is subjective. At the end of the day, losers go home and complain about their best. Winners look at the fucking scoreboard. That's all it is. So, and to come back to your question in terms of dealing with the rejection, what kept me going? So some sort of insane type of pride. If I'm being honest, just some unworldly type of pride that I'd get on the phone with these people and, hey, can I quote your auto insurance real quick? And they're in the middle of the day, in the middle of work. Nobody wants to talk to me. And, but I went into every single call saying, with the mindset in my head, why don't you want to talk to me? Like, you crazy? Like, do you want to keep paying what you're paying, or do you want to actually get some decent insurance? That was my thought going into every call. And every lead you get's a gift. Now, really important point, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but that reasoning has changed because when I feel like people, a lot of times, if you're not humble enough to learn what you need to learn, it takes life breaking you to bring you to a point to where if you don't change, you're about to lose something you're not willing to lose. So at that point, that's where the rubber meets the road now is my kids. So how do I do it now? I tell my salespeople and guys I train with, oh man, I don't think I can keep calling. Well then, dude, don't sit here and tell me, you can lie to yourself, you can lie to your friends, you can lie to everybody else, but I'm holding myself to the same standard I'm telling you. Don't tell me you love your family. For God to love the world that he gave. Love is action. Either pick up the fucking phone or don't, but at the end of the day, it's a scoreboard, bro.
Yeah, damn, there was a few things. There was a couple. There was a couple things in there, and number one, the scoreboard. I don't want people to get confused when you're saying scoreboard.
Yeah.
As far as scoreboard watching for the stats, right? And what people are saying, or what a system is saying. I don't want you to scoreboard watch for your emotional hype, right? When he's saying scoreboard, he's looking, are you winning? Right? You can have the lowest amount of stats. You can have the worst offensive stats, but defensively, you win the game, right? You win the game because you might not scored a lot of points, but you stopped a lot of points from being scored. So when I'm thinking about that, it's, you might have rejected me over and over and over again, and my stats say the rejections was out of this world. but my defense of overcoming each one of your objections allowed me to outscore you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I hope you get that, because when you're saying don't scoreboard watch, he's telling you don't watch the hype.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the numbers that really matter. If you said I'm going to make X this month and you hit that on the scoreboard, let's go. I don't care what I can fix the rest of the stuff, but I put up enough points to win, right? I put up enough points to win the month. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that, and there was so much that you said, man, and I'd be wanting to stop and have you like
just stop
go a little deeper, right? Because and I want people to listen to this, man. We're talking sales. You mentioned I kept dialing, and if people was hanging up or they didn't want to hear it, it's like, yo, you don't want to hear how you can save. You don't want to hear how there's something better for you. So what I got from that is you're dialing with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, man, we're making moves, but there's no purpose behind the moves. We're just making a move because it's required for job security. It's required for the stats of the day, right? To hit this number. But when you're doing it with purpose and someone's saying, nah, I don't want that. Okay, hold on. Great. I get it. But can you please just tell me what you're saying you don't want?
Mm-hmm.
Because I never heard somebody say they don't want to save.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And because I know why I'm calling, I know what my rebuttal is going to be to your objection.
Are you
right?
opposed,
So
are you opposed to spending less money on your bills?
Right? Who says no? But if you don't go into it with purpose, like these are the type of things where you start to take that rejection over and over, and it weighs on you just being human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just being human, it weighs on you. So you mentioned, man, like that was then. And now you do it for the kids, right? You do it because you have two little ones, and obviously things change at that point.
Yeah.
And then you said you don't want to call, or you said something about pick up the phone and go dial, right?
Yeah.
When the purpose is bigger, and now you got the bigger purpose, you got the kids, and that purpose is so huge. What was that? Because we can say it, but what was the thing that really made you say, I'm going to live by this? You know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to know it. It's another thing like, yo, I'm going to live by this even when I don't feel like it.
Yeah. So the thing that kind of got me started down that pathway, more or less, was I love studying. So I don't care what you believe, like, spiritually or whatever. I think the Bible is the best success book ever written. So whenever I turn to it, like it's just got way too many principles in there for me, but of success, period. Plus, whoever the hell wrote it, whatever you want to believe, he's smarter than me. That's all I know. But that being said, whenever I turn to it, that as well as just, how would you say it? Psychological biology, we'll call it that. Basically how the brain works. You will always do more for other people than you will do for yourself, period. That's a psychological fact. And, that person, like, that was a big deal for me because I was very self-centered. I was raised up in a home where it was kind of, I don't know, padded more or less. But then all of a sudden, the worst thing I had ever experienced was in the back of a Prius. Then all that crap went down and I lost all my dignity and, kind of built back up. But then all of a sudden my kids became the most important thing on the planet to me. So every single day, I'm looking at their pictures on the wall right now. If I got up from that desk, I would look at my kids on the wall who I hadn't been able to see for a year plus at this point. And I would look at them and I would have to tell them, whatever I'm getting up from this desk to go do instead of dial is more important than you right now, and I'd have to look them in the face and tell them that, and I'd just act like they're there. But what I tell people is, for God so loved the world that he gave. Love is action. That's what it is. If you don't do things for your family, what right do you have to say that you love your family? Period. And with that being said, if you're not going to dial the phone, but you're saying you want to do all these things for your family, then just, and I use the you don't love your family thing just to like really sink it home. But at the end of the day, like, dude, either your dreams are important to you or they're not. Either your family is this important to you or they're not, and my scoreboard is not even necessarily the status quo of everybody else around me. I don't care what everybody else around me is doing. I'm beating the person I was yesterday. So either I'm going to beat my numbers yesterday, either I'm going to close better than I did yesterday, I'm going to handle that objection better than I did yesterday, and I'm going to pick up the phone one more time when I don't want to. When I stopped yesterday, I don't care what they're doing, because at the end of the day, my drive is more important. They aren't, whenever they go home, they don't, they don't hurt because they're not seeing their kids. That's my game. That's my alone time. That's my pain. And if you ain't going to feel my pain, then I'm not going to live by your standards. My standards are going to be higher depending on what's important to me. That's it.
Yeah, I like that, the picture in front of you, and you want to get up and you want to stop and go do something else, and you're looking right at them like, hold on, if I go do this, then that means that's more important than you. And I have one of the same principles that I live by, and it's actually, if I can't go home at the end of the day and tell my daughter everything about my day, then I did things I had no business doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, hold on. Can I tell my daughter about this? No. Why would I even do it? Right? Why would I even let it take my time? Can I go home and share this? No, hell no. Cool. I'm not going to do it. Why? Because I want to be able to share everything that happens. Right. And you mentioned as far as like the scoreboard watching, right? Because it's a few times and it comes up, and I want people to understand. And you also said it's not about everybody else. It's about you. And can you beat you yesterday? Well, let's be 100% honest. A lot of people like to show off for people, right?
Yeah.
Like to prove that they can keep up. Well, let's say there's nothing wrong with it. There's something wrong if you're keeping up with people that can't even keep up with themselves, right? There's something wrong if you're trying to keep up with people that are not pushing to get more that's worthy of keeping up. So if you have the mentality of, I want to keep up, and I want you to see that I can keep up. I want the world to see what I got, right? Number one, that's a messed up mindset. That shouldn't be. But if that's it, how do you use that as a cheat code? Well, you go find new people to show off in front of. You go find new groups that are doing better than you, and then you catch up and you show them like, yo, I could do this too. Right. And then what you're going to find is you just keep getting better and better and better over time. And then hopefully before you burn yourself out competing, you get to the point where you say, hold on, I don't really need to show out, but I'm loving the life that this is giving me. Let me stop keeping up and let me just keep living my life based on these new principles and this new sense of motivation that I found. So there's nothing wrong with keeping up, but just find new people to keep up in front of that actually keep you growing and not get you to the point where you become stagnant.
Absolutely.
So when, like right now, you said you're insurance. How long you been in insurance?
I've been in I've been in insurance for about 2.5 years, but I've been on and off of it. On and off, obviously, it was the first job out of college, so I'm 31 now. 10 years or so, like on and off, but either part-time or full without consistently about 2.5, 3 years.
31, man. I remember when I was 31. Whoa, seems so long ago. So long ago now.
Yeah, wow.
It seems so long ago now, man. 31. I love it. So what do you find, man, as far as, you said you was on and off. Now you're not on and off, and we know the kids played a huge part in you staying on, but you also had to find success, right? You had to find success in it for you to be able to stay on. How did you build that consistency outside of, and it doesn't mean it's not important, right? But let's remove family, let's remove kids, because we still got mental work that has to be done for us to become successful in something, right? We can say that part of it, but that's all the surface stuff. How did you, because there's someone who has no kids and they're like, well, I don't have no kids and I don't have no family, and they're not happy with life, right? How did you get to the point where you overcame your mental barriers, your mental roadblocks, to take that old you and create the new you?
Yeah, so so part of that answer actually goes back to something you were saying a few seconds ago. You know how you have people that want to show off in front of the wrong people, right? I mean, at the end of the day, so it was a blessing and a curse that my dad was a pastor, because he was really charismatic and people loved him, but he also taught me how to get things from people, even if it was just recognition. Without he didn't teach me, but I learned. I was that guy 100%. And I could pretty much from the day I was 17, I could pretty much buy the shirt off your back and sell it back to you in the same 10-minute span and profit. Like that was just, man, I could talk. Now, the thing was is that I was talking and working myself into situations where even if I turn to my closest friends, they would say that myself back then, I always came out on the upper hand in anything we wanted to do together, all the way down obviously to sales. So I was taking because there was some sort of hole that I had to fix, you know. That hole that I had to fix, I can't even necessarily, no, I can. If you want to get into that, you can. But the point is that regardless of what your hole is, the best way that I know how to increase your performance is either like just let life take its course and let that person break, because I don't, it's really difficult for me to trust people that haven't been broken before. And here's why, is because every single time someone reaches their rock bottom, they've been living a life where they've been putting up this lie, this pride, this how they call it, Carnival of Counterparts is a book that I read, and that's what they called it, Carnival of Counterfeits rather, where they're just wearing faces in front of people, but they're trying to act like the person they're quote unquote supposed to be, right? They're supposed to be this, they're supposed to be that, and usually that person that they're supposed to be is who they needed to be in order to get love from their mom or their dad, one of the two. Now, that being said, it isn't until you've been broken enough to where there's no hope of you reaching that place where you're just stuck with you and the wall. That's it. You know, you, yourself, I, and, you know, no hope of getting anywhere. Because once you can actually give up the idea of who I'm supposed to be, then at that point, you can look at yourself soberly and think, okay, all of a sudden, the things that are wrong with me aren't like my damning traits. Those are the things that I need to improve. Those are the things I need to change if I want to be able to get here, here, and there. It's not my mom or my dad's or this mentor, that mentor, this important person's, you know, weak part in me that they spotted. It's just something that I need to change. And I'm going to finish it off with somebody asked after I went through my whole divorce and whole situation, homelessness, what was the one thing I learned? And I told them, it's kind of like one of those gut answers you didn't even know was there. It was the amount of fulfillment that a person will experience in their life is directly proportional to the distance between who they are right now in this moment as they see themselves and who they're quote unquote supposed to be in their own head.
Got you. That's a huge gap.
Yeah. And outside of that, dude, the only other way I've seen it, the only other way I've seen it cured, quite honestly, is hanging around other people that have fixed the hole. That's it. Because they have real talks like this, you know, but that's scary for people like that because they can see past the crap. You know, they don't want to do it.
It's so easy. Watch this, man, because you again, man, there'd be so much, right? And I just want to make sure I'm not so concerned with getting out a lot of information as much as I am with y'all retaining and capturing something that will help you to move forward. And when you started saying, you know, the environment and being around different people in that space that's in your head, right, between where you are and where you want to go, like that's ear to ear. You to get through, it got to get filtered through the mindset. And what we find ourselves doing is staying around individuals that comfort our uncomfortability. You know what I mean? Like, like we get uncomfortable, they pull us back to a comfort zone instead of pushing us further out and saying, hey, yo, go do it. Walk through that. You're going to live. You're going to be okay. Because we're around people that never walked through shit. Yeah. And when you say, I don't want to be around you, I don't want you in this space if you haven't been broken, yo, that is so real. That's so true, because the people that haven't been broken, that means it's not that they didn't have the opportunity to be broken. They never wanted to take it because they seen it as a disadvantage. They seen that uncomfortability as stressful, as irritating, as a dangerous place to be. But when you look at those that are successful and they have what it is that you want, they've been through the breaking points. So when you have people pulling you back into a comfort zone, like, hey, don't worry about that. It's going to be okay. Yo, stop. This shit's not going to be okay if you keep doing what you're doing, what you've been doing, because you keep going through the same things. You keep repeating the same cycle. Break it. So that means whatever you've been avoiding is holding what you want on the other side of it. Yeah. You cannot get it, right? If you're playing the video game And like the low dated game, like a Zelda, right? And I'm talking to my older people that understand like the Zelda, right?
I played
You
Zelda. Come on now.
okay, I got you. Cool, right? There's certain weapons you need to advance. You cannot go to the next place until you got these weapons. So you got to go get broke to get the weapon.
Yeah.
You got to get broke to get the weapon. Now, this is the crazy thing. This is the crazy thing. And I was talking about this the other day. People work a 9 to 5, and the people that can give you the promotion, the people that can, say, do you get this bonus? Do you get this? Does this happen? Does this happen with you? If they can't break you, meaning make you submissive to them and to what they have going on, so now you're manageable and based on their peon of a mind, right? Based on who they are, if you seem stronger than them and they can't break you, they don't want to advance you.
Yeah.
Because once they advance you, they lose control over you. You see what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
know they can't manage you on that level, so they don't want you to hit that level. So when you're looking at it like these are individuals that will push you back to a comfort zone because they can't break you, so they want to keep you right here in this space. And then you have friends that do the same thing to you. Yo, get away from the people that bring you closer to comfort and embrace the ones that push you closer to danger, right? Closer to uncomfortability. And these are the people in life we avoid. We avoid the people that say, yo, like, what are you talking about? Stop complaining. Nobody wants to hear that. Like, you get away from them, and the ones that will hear your complaint over and over and over and even ask you, hey, tell them what happened, and keep you into this little story, this little tornado of destruction, you want to gravitate to them because they have being an insurance man and being in sales. You started off calling, right? And I know now you go from calls, you're doing face-to-face stuff. What has been your biggest challenge in sales, like year to date?
Just in the last 365 days.
Yeah, what's been your biggest challenge, man? Let's just say in all time, right? Since you started, because I know when you run into a challenge, you overcome it. It's not a challenge anymore. You find a new one, right? So what has been your biggest challenge in being like, yo, I'm in sales, and if I don't sell, I don't eat?
Yeah. The biggest challenge has been probably becoming a quality of enough person to stop giving a shit what other people think about me, and like that. And this is gonna again, you keep going back to things I said, and I'm keep going back to things you said, but it has to do with this. I love what you said a second ago. If you want to hang around, if you want to know if you're hanging around, you want practical things for them to learn. If viewers, people, if you want to know if you're hanging around the wrong people, when you get yourself in the middle of a shitstorm, they tell you it's gonna be okay. Bullshit. It's not gonna be okay. And the only way it's gonna be okay is if your mommy or your daddy or your wife ends up saving you, or your husband or whatever. Those comfort people that are obligated to be your comfort zone, because they're your family and your close friends and your best friends, and you sign that unspoken contract between each other. Yeah, they're the ones that are gonna tell you it's gonna be okay when it hurts. But the whole fulfillment of winning is on the other side of whatever painful thing you're intentionally avoiding. And just if you want another nugget is be more self-aware when you don't want to do something, and because it's uncomfortable. I don't care if you look stupid, just do it. Because that's where the winning is. But back to the point of that was my hardest thing, was getting to my dad was a pastor. I grew up in church. I lived in a glass house, man. There was a certain place there's a certain way I was supposed to act. There was a certain place I was supposed to be, and going against the grain of what society thought about me and not following this prescribed way to live was the exact opposite of what I was supposed to do in order to receive the love and the attention and the everything I wanted. So that was really, really difficult for me. On top of that, I was raised in a place where my parents were, I feel, a little bit older. My dad, I'm 31. My dad's actually just turned 70 this year. So they had reached a point in their life where their life was starting to slow down when they started to have kids. They waited 18 years and tried to have kids. And then, hey, kick ass and came around. So, but no, but in all seriousness, that was another thing, is that they really valued their comfortability, as they should at that point in their life. But I was growing up and that was my environment and that's what I thought was okay. So if I never got the chance to go out and be broken, then I would have never been who I am today. If you guys know the story of the prodigal son, the son that, took all of his inheritance and ran out and ended up in the pig pen, the prodigal son didn't end up in a pig pen because he didn't get what was coming to him. He ended up in the pig pen because he got what was coming to him too early. Okay, so the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that, I tend to believe that there's a process for everybody. Life's going to take you, life's going to break you, especially if you're not a W-2. And dude, that's an exciting way to live. It's a badass way to live. But, if you don't, how low you go, a lot of times is going to determine how high you can go. That is, unless you're going to ride the coattails and the experience of the friends around you, which is a smart thing to do because it means you have the right friends.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about the piece, right? You answered the question, and it was, we're not worrying about what people had to say. What was the thing most that you was worried about people saying or criticizing you for?
Pushing. I was always told that I was stubborn as a kid, as a lot of kids are. So my son is. It's karma 360. But yeah, I was stubborn as a kid, and I make sure to not do this for my son. Is I was always told that I needed to submit to my authority, and that really broke me, and that really made me feel, shitty at the time, because it was going against what my authority and this, and not pushing the envelope, as we all have to do in sales, as not just as what's suggested. That's what's fucking required. If you're going to be any halfway good. That part of me was breaking that idea of that it's okay, and that's what winners look like, are people that are willing to be annoying when it's appropriate to be annoying.
Yeah, and when you were saying it, you start, once you bring kids into it, when kids are real young, we never put limitations on them, right? It's never, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. It's cute. Yeah. And then as they get older, it becomes aggravating, or now we want to try to check it, and we want to say, no, don't be like that, don't be pushy, follow this, follow this, follow this. And it's not following the right things. You're teaching people how to become order takers. So as we grow up, we become programmed to, all we do is take orders. But 100. The person that we actually work for, bro, they're not programmed to just take orders. They're programmed to give orders. They're programmed to delegate. And when that's something that is extremely hard to break. One of the things for me, man, like getting into sales and dealing with people in corporate or wherever it is, I become very passive. I come from an environment where I don't have to be passive, right? There's no, if you're passive, you will be victim. You'll be prey, right? So I'm like, I'm not being passive. But then you get into a corporate environment, or you're out doing business with people, and now it starts to be like, oh, you're the angry black guy. You see what I'm saying? Like, this becomes one of the things, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be the angry black guy, so I'm just going to be passive over here. And when I thought about it, I'm like, yo, you broke me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you broke me to not speak up, so I don't get called, I don't get labeled what I fear being labeled. And I had to ask myself one day, like, yo, why? Like, why do you care? Like, it's and I went back to something my mom used to always say to me. She said, yo, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know what I'm saying? And so I tried it, and I would say it in a nice way, and they would still find a way to twist things to make it like I was being combative. So I said, okay, let me switch it a little bit. Let me just ask questions. Before I say anything, I want to ask questions. My questions are designed to back you into the wall. So while you're looking at me and say, oh, he's passive. Oh, he's not, I don't, there's no threat from him at all. He's just asking questions. Well, it's a setup. The
Yeah.
questions that I'm asking you are now, so when I address it, you can't back up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now I'm taking and I'm combining the two. I'm combining the questions I'm asking, where it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I'm saying these questions in a nice way. And now I'm going to ask some other questions and make some statements. And I'm going to say it in a very nice way. But if you answer any other way than the way I designed this, you're contradicting yourself. And
Yeah.
you know it, and I know it. So now I removed me even thinking about, man, what if they look at me as the angry black guy? No, they're going to look at me like, yo, that's an intelligent black guy.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then I want to switch it and get them to just be like, yo, that's an intelligent man.
Yeah.
Because I like why I got to be black? Why I got to be an angry black guy? Why I got to be an intelligent black guy? Why can't I just be intelligent or just
Yeah.
call me angry? You know what I'm saying? Like one of the two. But
Mhm.
I figured out how to ask the question so you can't back up. And that's one of the things, as you were saying it, I'm like, yep, okay. Like this was a big hiccup for me. You know what I'm saying? It was a big mental roadblock. And so I'm glad to see, you know, like I'm not the only one, right? And I know I'm not the only one, but when I hear other people talk about it, it's just like, oh, okay. And now I'm just sitting here in my mind, man, and I'm thinking about all these other angles. Now, how important, man, and I had said it in the beginning, how important do you think it is to be mentally tough versus knowing the right things to say? Like what's
There's
more important?
yeah, it's meant like the only reason why the guy that you look up to, that you want to be in your industry, period, is different than you is because he thinks different than you do. That's the only difference. You know, skill like those types of skills, like they can be learned, but they're going to be learned by the guy that's not going to give up. That
Mhm.
99% of people are going to hit the wall and fall on their ass and not try again. That's the one crazy motherfucker that's going to break the wall, and he doesn't care how many times he has to bust through it. You know, that's anyway. Yeah, he
Yeah.
might hopefully get strategic about it, but one way or another, he's getting through that wall. So
Yeah, whether you're strategic or not, it don't even matter. You just
yeah.
keep beating the wall with the right tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you got this, so you're beating the wall with the wrong tool, at some point it'll come down. It's going to take a long time, but the more you beat it, you keep making pivots and you keep adjusting, right? Whatever it is, if it's your attitude, great, adjust your attitude. You start hitting the wall with less energy and making a bigger dent in the wall. And then you take the attitude and you start putting some skill with it, right? And now you start hitting it with less energy, but you're putting more damage on the wall because the attitude is right and you're becoming more skillful, right? And now you become more intentional about your intentions. So now the wall just starts to easily knock down and you're able to pick stuff up. So oh man, I love that, right? It makes
Yeah.
all the sense in the world. When you're looking at it right now, like right now, wherever you are in your business, whatever that looks like, what does it take? What is it going to take from you to scale your business, right? To scale what you're doing right now by like 10-15%? Because a lot of times, man, who we are gets us to where we are, and then we just keep hovering around this space. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. It doesn't matter if you're making a lot of money, but you're making the same money over and over. That lifestyle becomes stagnant, right? Everything about it, the thought process becomes stagnant. So there's always mental roadblocks that need to be removed. I mean, just for an example, I was talking to one of my friends, man, and he's like, man, I got to 2 million and I want to get to 5, but I haven't been able to get past the 2 million. And he started to talk about the different things that needed to be done. And he made some adjustments. And he said, yo, it was so hard to go from 2 million to 5 million. It was hard. And you're like, yo, just make another 2, add another. It's not that simple, right? So what is that roadblock you got right now, right? Or what is it that you think it is that you need to remove to go ahead and get to that next space? And then what are you doing to make that possible?
Yeah, dude, I want to go back to like 4 points. I'm not going to, but I'm going to answer the question. It comes down, again, it's going to probably come down to my biggest weakness in my life is I've been diagnosed ADHD, right? So, and that's I hate it when people use those labels as an excuse. I hate it. Like, you know, and don't get me wrong, there's cases out there need to be medicated. I'm not trying to, you know, hate on anybody's situation, but for me personally, okay, you know, my situation, I tend, you know, just I learned how to reframe those things to where my ADHD is kind of like my superpower because I can focus on two or three things at the same time. But what comes along with that is I've recently been uh, really trying to use my time more effectively. And it hit me whenever somebody said, "Hey, you're going to spend some time there." It was just a passing comment. And then I realized that they said spend time. You know, we spend time and we waste time, but nobody ever uses the phrase invest time, you know, which is really weird, you know. And so just being a hell of a lot more conscious of where my time and where my time is actually going, because that is probably one of the biggest struggles for me is like, bro, you're supposed to be dialing right now and you're making content, and like, you know, bro, you haven't posted like content in 4 days, you know. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you know, but anyway, I can keep going, but yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I need to change.
Got you, man. When we're talking that ADHD, it's huge, right? And it's not an excuse, right? It's not an excuse. Like some people
Mhm.
just you everywhere, and I'm guilty of it. Yay, right? Me. Um, One of the things that I've done that made a huge change, and it helped to elevate some things, and now I'm building on it, right? But that's taking one project, whatever it is, right? So we can use this video, right? We can use this right here, like going live and creating these sessions. And I did one earlier this morning. I did this one right here. I'll take the one early and I'll take this one right here, and I'll break it up. I'll break it up. So now I'm doing my thing is 1 = 5, right? So I want to look at one thing and I want to write that down. This is one thing I'm doing. And then what are 5 ways that I can break this thing down? 5 ways that I can use it. 5 things that I do. So by me doing this, it's helping me, right? So I'm not scatterbrained. I'm not all over the place. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to break it down. I got content for 2 weeks, right? You got an hour here. You got an hour here. Yo, that's content for 2 weeks. I don't have to touch content after that, right?
Yeah.
So just doing something like this once a week, having 2 sessions, I don't have to touch it no more. So now I go one step deeper. I write down what I got to do. So, okay, I got to develop content for the week. Great. I'm going to write down content for the week. I'm going to put a circle around it, and I'm going to make this thing into a pie chart. And I'm going to number it 1 through 5, 1 through 10 if I need to. Anything that I'm doing is only related to something that's in this pie chart.
Mm-hmm.
That way, no matter whatever I get scatterbrained on when I'm working on something and I start to get frustrated, confused, or I just get a blank, great, I'm going to jump to something else. But what I'm jumping to is connected to this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's connected to the one thing, I'm only working on one thing. My mind doesn't know the difference. My mind just knows I'm still going and it's doing something different. So it's rested again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all over the place, right? So I learned how to work with the ADHD. And I used to be like, yo, man, stop making excuses. Just get it done. Stop making it. But when I'm sitting there and I get all these thoughts that pile on, and now I can't move, and I'm just like, and I close the laptop and I put the notepad away, and now I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's useless.
Yeah.
Let me go from this. And how long can I stay focused here? 10 minutes? 5 minutes? Great. I'll go to the next thing. I'll do another 5-10 minutes. Then I'll go to the next thing, another 5 to 10. And before you know it, my ADHD becomes a superpower, right? I'm just trying to figure out whatever flaw I have, how do I turn it to my advantage? I'm not focused on what's messed up. I'm focused on how do I make it work for me and not against me. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, when we're talking about just scaling, just getting to that next step, this is everything that's being done right now. How do I enhance that?
Yeah.
Without changing my life. I don't want to alter my life, right? And when I say I don't want to alter my life, meaning adding more confusion to it. So when you look at it, yep, that's one of the things. So with that being said, because I know it's on your mind, right? Growth. Everybody wants to grow. What's something, man, that between now and the end of the year, you're like, you know what, man, I've been putting it off, or I haven't had a chance to get to it, right? I've been making excuses not to do it, but by the end of the year, I'm going to accomplish this, man. I'm going to get it done. And not only are you going to get it done, but you know how it's going to benefit you, right? So I want to know how it's going to benefit you once you achieve it. And then how is it going to hurt you if you do not achieve it?
Yeah. So if it's okay, I'm gonna go just for half a second back to what you said,
Yeah.
because if you want to know my story, this is like one of the most important points, period, that mindset wise that they can get out of this. All right. The biggest thing I learned from my whole experience, I already told you, but the thing that got me out of there was the
Mhm.
one concept that I keep doing every single time if I want to change the way I'm thinking and get to a higher level is people always use the phrase work smarter not harder, but they never realize that that's an actual mathematical equation. It's the amount of dollars earned divided by the amount of the amount of dollars earned divided by the hours that it took you to earn it. So my
Mhm.
job, period, is to figure out how, not like putting in the hours, that should be an afterthought. Like if you want to be able to go to dinner and not look at the price on the menu, then you have to be able to work and not look at the clock. Okay, like period. Now, but at the same time,
Mhm.
it's not my job to work harder. Trying to break that wall, like we were saying. I have to figure out how to make my time more valuable because time, quite literally, is its own asset. So the only way for you to be able to get more profitable is to make your hours worth more because there's only so much you can do. That's the process that I ask myself when I want to get to the next level.
Yeah.
What's the thing that's holding me back from my time going from $200 an hour to $400 an hour? Right. So anyway, for what that's worth. But
No, I hope they got that because that's extreme. People are so focused on getting a raise, and it's like, yo,
mhm,
you're getting a raise, but you haven't even really realized your skill set because your skill set is more valuable than the raise.
yeah.
And once you identify, like, yo, okay, cool, they're paying me this an hour. I'm always looking at it like, man, if you're giving me this an hour, what is it really worth to you? Because you're not going to break even, right? And you're
mhm,
not going to pay me extra where you can't make a profit. So that means whatever you give me for the hour, there's a profit in there for you. So
mhm,
I want to know, how do I create a skill set that you're paying me for? And I'm so great at that skill set, I'm getting it done faster than anybody else. So
mhm,
now, right? And it really happened when I got paid. I think the biggest speaking gig at that time was like 2 grand. And then I ended up getting 5 grand. And I'm like, yo, I got 5 grand for the same hour. Like, yo, nice. But
mhm,
I didn't tie it to the skill. Like, yo, the presentation's fire. It was good then. It's fire right now.
mhm,
Right. And then when I got to 8,500 for the gig, I'm like, yo, the same hour, 85. I said,
mhm,
yo, let's work. Right. And I started to look at tape. And I'm like, oh, like you see them transitions, they're fire now. Yo, you
yeah.
see the way you led up to that. Oh my God, that's dope. You see the engagement with the audience, fire. And I
Mhm,
started to realize that the more I increase my skill set, the more they'll be willing to pay, but not until I put my skill set in the place that has a pain that my skill set takes care of. Right.
mhm.
So stop looking to get paid for the hour and start looking to get paid for your skill set.
Are they undervaluing your time, or are you undervaluing your time?
Absolutely you.
That's a bomb. Anyway, but anyway, goal by the end of the year. Um, so are we talking by December? All right, I need to know this because I have like it marked out on a calendar what I want to do. So
Yeah,
like
by December, is I don't know if it's 30 or 30, 31, but I think it's
yeah.
31.
So my goal by then is to um my goal by then is to start to build either through my presence or online marketing, which was my first business, to generate my own lead source because wherever it is that you go, um, one of my favorite phrases or quotes is I'd rather be in control of the faucet than the one begging for water, you know? So if I can control the leads coming in the door for me,
Mhm.
either self generated or enough capital to really have enough to sustain myself without having to rely on other agents, vendors, or whatever,
Mhm.
uh, that would be goal number one. And then finally, just goal number two is to pay my rent. I you can make a lot more money if you're in independent sales by going vertical in one industry, in one niche industry, and connecting people that are already exchanging money, but figure out a way for them to do it better. So that's what I'm currently doing. I would like that skill set to pay my rent. So those are two things. What will that give me? That will give me virtually, I don't want to say financial freedom because my time isn't technically free at that point, but
Yep.
It would put me in a position where the progress and the momentum that I have towards other longer term goals that I have is acceptable in my brain. And what it would take away from me or how it would hurt is when you live in DC and when you have kids and custody and all that stuff, like I'm still, I'm still fighting dragons, bruh. So anyway, like how would it hurt? Like financially, I don't want to get fucking eight. So, so, I mean that, but, just if the thing that creates depression or thing that creates depression is a lack of growth, that's what it is. It's a lack of progress, so it's going to put me in a state where I'm not happy with the person I am because it's the same person it was 2 months ago.
Got it. And the reason I asked that, man, is because I think it's so crucial to be aware, just like you got the picture of the kids, and when you get up, it's like, man, is what I'm going to do more important than my kids, right? And they're looking right at you, and you got to look at them and be like, yes, it is, and go do some nonsense, right? Or no, it's not, and sit down and dive into it. One of the things, and as we wrap up, I want to share it as well, right? One of the things is to be able to get one contract that covers my year expenses, right? My yearly expenses. So when I'm looking at it, with my expenses being X, I want one contract that covers that. So mentally I'm free. I'm free of an obligation, because that obligation is already being taken care of. No matter what I do, if I go out here and I BS, right, and I don't do anything, I don't have stress of the bills coming in. Everything is covered. So I sat down, man, and put everything together, and I know exactly what it is to the T. And I'm going out and I'm only pitching this, right? I'm only looking for customers for this. And once you get one, you have the freedom where now when you go in, you're in the driver's seat of every deal. If it's not right, you're like, no, I'm good. No, I'm not good. And you could walk away from what somebody thinks you're gonna bite at, and you walk away and they're like, whoa, hey, well, hold on, come on, let's sit down and let's talk about this. Versus you going in knowing you got a bill coming up and you got another bill coming up, and you're willing to tuck your tail just so you can get the bill taken care of. Because you feel obligated. Well, you are, right? And you got work to do. So for me, is every year to take that one number and go out and look for that one contract that covers you for the year. And now from there, man, you take that same formula, that same format, and you keep looking for that again, then you up the number and you do it again and you do it again. And before you know it, man, you're sitting there, you're just like, wow, I got everything taken care of for the next couple of years. Like once I get this one, everything else is profit. Like we can really live. And when I'm talking sales to y'all, that's what I want you to think of. And once you stop exchanging your time for an hourly rate, you can start to think differently in life. And when you start thinking differently in life, you start getting new things in life. But in order for this to happen, you got to shake the fleas. The fleas, and don't take it the wrong way, but majority are your day ones. The people you came up with, the people that aren't thinking like you, the people that don't want the life you want, the people that they're not fighting the way you want, the way they need to be fighting, right? You don't need to be around them because it's going to get hard. It's going to get frustrating. It's going to become depressing. And if you got a safe place to run to, most of us would run. When you remove the safe place, then all you do is keep moving forward. This is why the Vikings used to burn the ship. So when they was fighting for survival, like real life survival. They had nowhere to go, right? So when they wanted to retreat, retreating wasn't an option. So write it down, know what it's going to take, and then put yourself in a position to make one move to cover your year. And now you got the other 11 months, 10 months, 9 months, 7 months, whatever, to focus on just building life. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things, man, I'm really focused on. One move, cover the year. And then from there, man, just keep making moves. Yeah. Now, before we go, one thing, man, if you had 30 seconds with somebody getting into the insurance business and you would never talk to them again, what is one thing, right? What's one thing that you would say to them and all you got is 30 seconds and you'll never see them again?
Somebody looking to get into the insurance business?
Yeah, somebody, they just got into the insurance business, like they're in it right now. Today's like the first day, they're scared as hell, right? They never did it before and they're here now.
Yeah. If you truly want to be successful in his business and it's that serious to you, find out where the winners are that make you the most uncomfortable, and you sleep in their guest room, you do whatever the hell you got to do. But people that make you feel bad about yourself, specifically, because that's positive peer pressure right there. If you want to be a winner, hang out with winners. And at the end of the day, man, just dial your ass off.
Yeah, so absolutely, man. Yo, I appreciate you taking some time and being on here. It was, I really, really, really appreciate it. I hope y'all was listening, because there was a few things and I couldn't go back and unravel everything, right? Or we would have never moved on. But there's some things in there. I want you to go back and listen. And if for some reason you're not sure, right? Or you think something was being said and you're not 100% sure, listen, inbox either one of us, right? And make sure, get the answer for it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no dumb questions. It's just dumb not to ask. All right. Listen, man, y'all have a great one. And I see y'all next Sunday. We'll do it all over again. And listen, everything in your life, right? Everything in your life is directly related to sales. No ifs, ands, buts about it.